What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Jack and I are here, and we are coming off, Jack, as one of the best and funniest, I'm going to say funniest, Monday Night Raws that we have seen in a very long time. It seems like the producers of the show today just said, go have fun with it. We had the mural to Liv Morgan. We had the New Day mourning their tag team title losses. We had Braun Breaker starting the show with a full crash out. And there's so many other parts, like even Karrion Kross, like it was like Scarlett showing up before we even saw Kross standing next to Jackie Redmond and arguably just staring. And it was just funny the way they all worked out together. We had Becky Lynch throwing shade at Big E just randomly. And then we obviously had probably one of the funniest luchador matches we've seen in a long time. But it was a phenomenally good luchador match on top of that, with Ludwig Kaiser, I think, taking the reins as the second evolution of El Grande Americano. Jack, overall on Raw so far, before we get into everything, what was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think they gave the writers the night off and they let the superstars do whatever the hell they wanted. Like that Braun Breaker promo at the beginning, Steve, like that was a do whatever the hell you want type of promo, to the point where he was probably told do whatever you want. And then he took the mic thinking, oh, we didn't think he was going to take the mic. He didn't think he was actually going to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. Took the mic, cut a pretty good promo on Sami Zayn, let the crowd eat it a little bit, had a couple of voice cracks in there. But it was a good promo. I think it pushed him, obviously, with the help of Karrion Kross. He got a big win on Sami Zayn. But it was a good Raw. It told some good stories. It gave a few good laughs. And it was like the perfect go-home addition to a Raw that eclipses a big mega weekend in Atlanta, Georgia.
And that's a big thing. We do have a massive weekend. So normally, and I've been very critical about the Raws before PLEs, saying it's almost like they give everyone the night off and they're very lackluster. I believe we spoke about the Monday Night Raw going into Night of Champions, and I absolutely hated it. And it was just one of those, I was very critical, and it was just like, this is one of the worst Raws we've watched. Now, tonight, I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, this was great. And it's kind of like the match quality was good. The matches weren't the best. They weren't very long. I think Kyrie and Roxanne ran way too long. And I think that's one we can be very critical of in a couple of seconds. But other than that, everything just felt like it flowed nicely. No over the top spots, nothing crazy. It was just very well put together. And then, like I mentioned at the start, all the backstage segments and everything else in between was just really good. Let's kick off with the opening segment. Like we mentioned, Braun Breaker kind of just, you noticed right as they walked out, Braun Breaker kind of lingering in the back, kind of looked frustrated, kind of looked annoyed, like a dog that had just been scalded almost, and takes the mic from Seth Rollins before he does, the traditional Seth Rollins intro of, welcome to Monday Night Rollins. Braun Breaker goes off, cuts this crazy promo where he full-blown crashes out and predicts everything that he's gonna do on Monday Night Raw for us. The mic goes back to Seth, and then Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed proceed to cut great promos, and it's the first time where I would have been happy if Seth just was just like, okay, and like I know he kind of did that, but just take the mic and just went, all right, I'm going home. I'm done. You guys said everything that needed to be said. I think that would have been the perfect way to end it. But what were your thoughts on this?
No, I totally agree with you. I think if he just dropped the mic and went, yep, I've taught them well, and then just went off. I mean, he already looks strong. He's Mr. Money in the Bank. He's got his army of men around him. He doesn't need to cut a vicious promo, right? Bronson Reed cut a great promo. Braun Breaker cut, I wouldn't call it a great promo, but it got the job done.
Yep.
And people are excited about Braun Breaker either way you look at it, because he's the future, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody knows how charismatic he is. Everybody knows how powerful he is. I mean, the speed, the agility, everything that he brings. it was interesting because they're continuing down the storyline of Braun Breaker potentially down the line having a feud with Seth Rollins.
Yep.
That's what it seems like over the past month or so, where he's not necessarily on the same page as Rollins, Bronson, and Paul. He's kind of like the wild card and kind of doing things his own way, to the point where Paul's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Seth's like, "Paul, what the hell is he doing?" Nobody really knows what Braun Breaker is. Like, he is the wild card. He's kind of the black sheep of this group. And I think that's the story that they're telling long term with Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a couple of more opportunities here and information that we were given about this faction. We had some Star Wars references. We finally got the notice that Paul Heyman is no longer the wise man. He is the Oracle to Seth Rollins, which I really like, because this brings it back to what I still think is the greatest version of Seth Rollins in the Messiah that we had during lockdown. I will stand on that. Still would have been one of the best versions of Seth Rollins if it was in front of people. Where that Oracle version really works. I also like this tease of the faction being called the Empire. It's a very unique and very powerful type of, I guess, to bring a faction together and literally said, like, we rule everything, like the Empire did in Star Wars. Star Wars. Sorry, I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I do know the Empire was very powerful.
Right.
So that's one of my things. I'm looking at this and I'm like, they're really diving deep into this. And that's why I'm thinking this Braun Breaker turn is nowhere near close. Like, we're looking months down the line, even past WrestleMania. So if you're really putting this much stock into this, and still the potential for a fourth man at some point, the plan B, like Seth Rollins referenced, it's interesting. We also had the reference for the first time in a while to Roman Reigns. I thought we were getting him tonight, dude. I really did. We've seen the rumor mill. Roman Reigns is returning before SummerSlam. I don't know how much stock I'm going to put into that, but overall, Roman, faction name, Paul Heyman completely cutting ties. We've got so much in this show tonight, especially the backstage segments as well. Everything about this faction kind of finally came together tonight, except for, is there potentially a fourth man?
Yeah, I mean, Plan B sounds like, to me, it's either going to cater to the long-term storytelling of Seth Rollins being the Plan B to the Authority 10 years ago. I don't know how they're going to do it or how they're going to make it make sense, but they always tend to surprise me, Steve. I don't know. Like, there's things that make sense after the fact that I didn't necessarily think in the moment that made sense. Or it could be someone as simple as Logan Paul coming back after being off TV for the last few weeks, right? Which, to me, Logan Paul has always been a perfect fit in this faction. You talk about the Empire. It's like, bring the most famous man in your company from a social media perspective into your group. And I feel like them teasing, calling it the Empire, and Paul Heyman being the Oracle, and it's just a poor man's bloodline at the end of the day. Like, the Empire, you could have, Roman's Empire returns, right? Like it's all kind of set up for that Roman Seth feud that's either going to main event WrestleMania or be, WWE's main story moving forward for the next year or two.
Yeah.
I'm with you with the Braun Breaker thing. It's like, yeah, they're teasing it. Like, eventually Braun Breaker is going to be too much of a wild horse for Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman to be on the same side with, but that turn's not coming anytime soon. I could see that happening a year or two down the road.
Yeah.
Jey Uso was kind of the wild horse in the bloodline for all those years when Sami Zayn was getting under his skin, right?
Yep.
And then he eventually turned years later. So I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. But Roman's coming back soon, Steve. I think it might be at Saturday night's main event. If it's not at Saturday night's main event, he's not going to be at SummerSlam, because you only have 3 weeks to build whatever match he's going to be in after that. I think here's my prediction, and we could clip this up later, right? Before Saturday, when I get this right, when the Oracle Jack O'Hara gets this right, Seth Rollins is going to beat LA Knight. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed are going to beat the crap out of LA Knight. CM Punk's music's going to hit. CM Punk, LA Knight versus those three, and then eventually Roman Reigns makes his return, setting up the big six-man tag. Rollins, Braun, and Bronson versus CM Punk, LA Knight and Roman Reigns in the main event of SummerSlam. It's an easy story for Roman Reigns to come in for 3 weeks to tell
Yeah.
against Seth Rollins, main event, a 2-night SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium, and then he can go do his Street Fighter movie after that and leave for the next few months, because I think that's what's going to happen.
And that match actually leads us into a great build for Survivor Series with those three as like the core members, and then bring in obviously probably Sammy in his return to Survivor Series, and Jey Uso on the side of, Roman, CM Punk, and LA Knight. And then obviously we potentially get the fourth man down the road, and then add in one other for the Survivor Series, War Games match. So that's interesting. The one other thing I want to mention before, we've already talked about this to death, the Empire. The Roman Empire, they used to refer to it as the Roman Empire, and now we have potentially this faction being named the Empire. Rumor is Roman is coming back with a new moniker, a new name, a new mold of it. Any ideas on what we could call him?
No, I think if it's not the tribal chief, like that's the whole moniker of like, if I'm not with the wise man, you'll never see the tribal chief again, or whatever he said in the Hall of Fame speech, right? So he's not going to be the tribal chief. I guess he's not going to be the OTC, even though that catchphrase and that signature still gets chanted in every single arena. I don't know. I don't see them going back to the big dog and the Roman Empire and all of that. But I don't know. I don't know what he would be moving forward. Obviously, he gets 100% creative control in that. I believe so, after what he was able to do and take WWE to new heights with his last gimmick that he helped create. But I don't know. I hope it's good, and I hope he, at very least, I don't care what it is, Steve, I just hope he shows up more. I hope when he's back, maybe not every week, but every other week to build up his matches. And, he's going to main event WrestleMania 42. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to main event night 1 or night 2. But it just feels like he is what Brock Lesnar was, if not what The Rock was, showing up like once a year. I know we get Roman Reigns more than once a year, but like it feels like he's become that guy who's only showing up for the big money PLEs for the WWE.
Hey, when you're getting paid $15 million a year and you've got a part-time schedule, I guess being able to show up every now and again is almost a benefit on his end, because he just gets to lose the ring rust that he's gotten for being off for 3 months. The reason I did bring up the new moniker and the new name, there is I have somebody in my community that does work closely with people at WWE and their creative shirts and that kind of thing, and something's floating around. Rumor is the Roman Reigns is coming back as the One. Just the One.
That makes a lot of sense.
And
I like the One.
I'm okay with that. If it's the One, I'm buying every shirt and hoodie that comes out, because that just fits. It just fits. The One destroys the Empire, and I love it. So it could be really cool. I want to talk Karrion Kross. Jack, I need to talk Karrion Kross, because Karrion Kross is over. And these were the loudest, especially in all places, Providence, Rhode Island. Scarlett got 3 segments tonight. Kross got 2. One was a commercial break segment for the people in the US and anywhere else. I believe in Europe they don't get commercials, but definitely in the US they wouldn't have seen the second segment. The clips definitely are up on social media. But Kross's chants tonight, the "We Want Kross" chants, and he even recognized them and said, "Well, you got me now," they were as loud as CM Punk chants for me. Is Karrion Kross signing a new contract?
I don't know. I don't think anything that they've done to this point tells me that he's going to resign, that he's not going to resign. They could literally have Sami Zayn destroy him at SummerSlam, and then that's the last we see of Karrion Kross. It could be in like a last man standing match where Sami Zayn beats him so bad that he can't come back, right?
Yeah.
Like they could book it that way, to where, there's only a few weeks left on his contract. There's only a few weeks left on Scarlett's contract. They don't necessarily have to come back. Maybe this is just the final, hey, are you going to sink or are you going to swim test from Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting and Nick Khan, and see if this is the guy that we want to stick around. They released Ron Killings. The fans wanted Ron Killings. We got Ron Killings, right? if they chant loud enough, if we complain loud enough on social media and on the internet that Karrion Kross deserves to stay,
Yeah.
they'll come to some sort of an agreement and some sort of minor push for Karrion Kross. But as of right now, I'm willing to bet that there's still nothing on the table for him yet, and that it's going to come down to these next few weeks in his feud with Sami Zayn and how the crowd reacts.
Well, from what they said on Monday Night Raw, Sami Zayn's written off TV indefinitely. So that's an interesting one, considering that, you know, Karrion Kross is the only feud that they have for Karrion Kross right now is Sami Zayn. The only other thing I noticed is during the backstage segment with, I'm just going to call him the Empire, Braun Breaker said, "What are we going to do about Kross?" So the fact that now the main eventers are talking about Karrion Kross, there's more opportunity for Kross. So I'm liking it. I agree with you that it's still not pen to paper yet, but he's doing literally everything right. It's almost, in my mind, the script that Drew McIntyre wrote when he was released, going to social media, building his brand, getting people to talk about him, and then every time he's getting the opportunity, he's either taking advantage on the mic or in the ring. And even at Night of Champions, like, the match wasn't horrible. It was a very Karrion Kross style match, very brute force, very aggressive. It's all you can ask for from Kross in the situation he was in, knowing that he was probably not going over there. So Kross is taking advantage and utilizing that Drew McIntyre script. I think we do get pen to paper before August 2nd, which I believe is the end of their contract, but we'll see. TBD.
Do you think that Karrion Kross could be Plan B?
TBD. Honestly, it would fit. Kross coming out in the black suit with the black tie, hair slick black, almost very Killer Kross style from NXT. I'm not against it.
There's a lot of people they could go. They could go with Karrion. They could go with Logan. Maybe they surprise us and push someone that we weren't even thinking of.
I'm still on the Ethan Page. I've been watching a lot of Ethan Page recently. He doesn't need to hold that North American title. He's already made the North American title what it can be in his hands. Ethan Page, when he signed over from AEW, was literally main roster ready when he came over. He didn't need to go to NXT. For me, it's still Ethan Page. I don't disagree with Logan. I don't disagree with Kross, but Ethan Page would be fitting.
And would we hate it if it was a more logical choice like Becky Lynch?
I hated when Becky and Seth worked together last time. I don't think they need to be on screen together. That's just personal opinion. I like Becky as a heel. I just think Becky right now is too important to the women's mid-card, which is wild to me. Too important to the women's mid-card division and that Intercontinental title conversation to move her and have her overshadowed by a full-fledged faction. That's my only opinion on that. You?
No, I agree. I don't think she needs the Empire, whatever they're going to call them. Like, she's Becky Lynch on her own. The only convenient thing there is that her and her husband get to work together and travel together and have the same schedule, and probably put out some of the best promo work of both of their careers alongside Paul Heyman. Becky Lynch and Paul Heyman together, dude, like, would love to see it, but it's not needed.
Yeah, exactly. Let's actually segue into that, because after tonight, the triple threat, Bayley, Lyra, and Becky, this promo, first off, comedic value, going back to what Monday Night Raw was comedic. Bayley coming out to interrupt Becky, Lyra coming out right after, trying to shoulder bump, and literally bumps right off of Bayley like a ricochet. I thought that was hilarious, but I saw what they were trying to do, but it just did not work for her. So that was kind of comedic. But this promo segment, this has been one of the best builds for Evolution. If it wasn't because of the Rhea Io match, this match after tonight should be the main event of Evolution. I
agree.
These women are, Lyra. And this is what I said when Becky came back and she took the Intercontinental Championship. Becky has literally elevated Lyra. She has given her so much room to develop on the microphone. Like, I genuinely believe Lyra is women's world champion in a couple of years because of what she's doing now in under the tutelage of Bayley and Becky. It is great work. And I don't use great for a lot of people unless you are Seth, Roman, and Punk or Drew. This is great work from Lyra. I believe in Lyra Valkyria. And then having Bayley as that kind of thing, kind of to rub off on and just push and get pushed back. It is so good. This should be one of the main events of Evolution.
2 words, Steve. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished for Becky Lynch in holding that Women's Intercontinental Championship. She hasn't only raised the stock of Lyra Valkyria, who, by the way, tonight was great on the mic. Yeah. Talk about people who were just like, here's a microphone, go do whatever you want. I felt like in that promo specifically, Becky, Bayley, Lyra said whatever the hell they wanted. And they told the story perfectly. You know, like I wasn't even privy to the notion that Becky was trying to manipulate Bayley and saying that Lyra was the one that took her out before WrestleMania. That's actually a nice twist.
Yep.
That they could use it. They could twist that if they wanted to, with Lyra actually attacking her before WrestleMania.
Yep.
Or just going the route of Becky playing mind games. But not only is Lyra Valkyria's stock elevated, Steve, the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship is elevated. And through all of this as well, because it's Becky Lynch and because Lyra has been so good, Bayley inserting herself back into this feud because of the WrestleMania angle, it elevates her as well, because she's been lacking any sort of real interesting storylines in a very long time as well.
Yep.
So to me, Rhea and Io Sky, yeah, there's a little bit of history there. Babyface versus babyface. The world championship on the line. It's going to be Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus, which nostalgia-wise, that might even get a main event at Evolution. And it's a world championship, so it's hard to argue that. But I think the best story going in is this women's triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship.
Do we have an idea that maybe it opens the show? Like, I was going to say Trish and Tiffany opens the show, but it's like, we've always talked about, like, get the show started off hot. And I think starting off the match with the IC title would be starting it off hot, or even the no holds barred match between Jade and Naomi, you know, start them off hot. But this match, I believe, really deserves it. But Tiffany and Trish, you know, just, I hate to say it, but just get it out the way. And like, out of all the matches, there's 7 matches on this card, just get it out the way. And then
on paper, Steve, that's a main event match. But Trish is coming in because it's Evolution and they want to fill up the all women's PLE card with the biggest Hall of Famer that they have. You know, like there's no real juicy story there. So get that nostalgic match with, you know, your past face of the women's division versus your current face in the opening match to have the fans who are already at their feet keep them there.
Yeah,
keep them there, and then go on with the rest of the show. Yeah,
exactly. Moving on to probably the best comedic segment of Monday Night Raw. The second evolution of El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee. I'm not too sure if we can call him El Grande Americano anymore. I think it's Der Grande in the German tongue. But
what are you insinuating, Steve? You don't think that was El Grande Americano?
Well, listen, dude, if you can grow 1 foot in like 3 weeks, I would have done that a long time ago. I'm just saying, this is a very interesting way of carrying on a character with so much, like, first off, Corey Graves and Michael Cole carried this whole match. Granted, the match itself.
Let's give credit to where credit's due right now. An Alex Jones reference from Corey Graves. An Alex Jones reference from Corey Graves?
Yeah.
Enough said.
They carried, like, granted, the match itself was very good, but I was so distracted by listening to Corey Graves and Michael Cole. It made what was supposed to be a filler comedic moment one of the moments of the night. And obviously they brought back the metal plate for the headbutt for El Grande. Like Grande and Dragon Lee put on a very good match. But overall, it was the finish to me. Like, whomever was the first El Grande Americano, their headbutt was pretty good. But that diving spear headbutt by this version of El Grande actually looked painful. But the way it was sold and delivered made it just as entertaining. And I'm not going to lie, somebody in the chat said, we're wondering if El Grande Americano is like a Pokemon. So Chad Gable was the first installment. I'm going to say Ludwig Kaiser is the second evolution. Maybe the third evolution is Omos, and we just go like full Charizard on it. You know what I mean? It could be like one of the wildest takes, but this El Grande stuff, I hope it goes on forever because I am so entertained by it.
It was probably meant to be a one-off thing. Like if Rey Mysterio was going to fight El Grande Americano at WrestleMania, I could have seen them just, Rey Mysterio beats him with the 619 frog splash, takes off the mask. It's Chad Gable with all of LWO and all of the people from AAA, since they just signed them that weekend, all in the ring celebrating for a big WrestleMania moment. Yeah. That's probably what the extent of this El Grande Americano thing was.
Yeah.
And now look how far Chad Gable has taken it. Chad Gable has taken it so far that he's now hurt and he doesn't even need to be there in order for that character to live on vicariously through someone who, quite frankly, has all the talent in the world but isn't being booked. He didn't have a story. Ludwig Kaiser isn't with Gunther anymore. He isn't really portrayed as a big threatening heel anymore on Monday Night Raw. Let's see what he can do as a comedian. Let's see what he can do as El Grande Americano.
Well, if first reference and first appearances are anything, we've got a long way to go with Ludwig Kaiser, because I think he did an incredible job. You get sent out there in a gimmick that does not fit what you were before, and it's sink or swim, and I think he swam very well tonight. I got one question for you, though, with this topic. If we have a return of Chad Gable, do we have El Grande versus El Grande potentially at like a WrestleMania?
If this El Grande gets over, which is up for debate, it might not.
Yeah.
It might kill off the El Grande character if Chad Gable's out for a long time and Ludwig Kaiser can't carry the same stock,
Yeah.
But if he does, El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. 100%.
It would be ridiculous because we
didn't think that this was going to go that far.
No, we even got the reference to two Undertakers on the show tonight. They even referenced it on commentary during the match. We've had two Undertakers, so it was great. Anyways, I want to jump into, before we get into the main event, two things. The Tsunamis by Big Bronson Reed to Jey Uso. I really thought we were going to get a lot more to this segment. It seemed like WWE is planning on like writing off Sami Zayn and then potentially writing off Jey Uso, and then having the major return kind of with like Roman and then those two in tow. Did you expect more from this? Because I was kind of disappointed. This is one of the segments I was disappointed with.
Yeah, I mean, we've read for weeks that Jey Uso was going to get written off because he's been dealing with some nagging injuries. I don't know if there was any truth to that. Sami Zayn, I don't know why they'd write him off TV right now, considering he went from I'm going to become world champion and everybody thinking, oh, he's going to get a world title match at SummerSlam, to now you're going to write him off TV before SummerSlam. And now Jey Uso is going to get written off. And that might be only for a couple of weeks, right? It's like they might come back in 2 weeks with Roman and then you have a big match.
Yeah.
Which technically would be the Bloodline versus the Empire, right? It would be Sami, Jey, and Roman. You could do that instead of Punk and LA Knight. But I'm with you. That match lasted about 15 minutes less than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be longer. I thought it was going to end probably not in a fair fight like it did, but like 5 minutes into the match, Jey Uso's going for the dive across the ropes, and then you just see a giant chair, Braun Strowman style of Roman Reigns. And that's about it. But that was the story that they were telling, right?
Yeah.
They wrote Sami Zayn off of TV with Braun and Karrion.
Yep.
And now they're writing Jey Uso off of TV for who knows how long with this attack from Bronson Reed, which makes both Brauns look really strong.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, but I think being Jey Uso as the top babyface right now in the company, it should have been, I think, Seth Rollins style 6 6 tsunamis and really put the hammer down, saying like, no, we're writing you off, like you're gonna go away for a bit. So 2 tsunamis, and then he walks out during the commercial break. I was just that one was just my biggest gripe, next to the women's match going way too long. That was my biggest gripe of the night. Gunther Goldberg, dude,
I almost forgot that was even a storyline, if I'm being honest.
Up until tonight, I almost forgot that was a storyline. After tonight, I felt this segment was very Attitude Era-esque. Goldberg peeling in the Chevelle, just marching in. Somebody even mentioned in the chat that the lighting seemed different. It seemed like Atlanta when Goldberg won the world title in Atlanta. They seemed like they filmed it almost completely different than anything inside of Monday Night Raw to make it feel old school. This segment made me actually care about this match for this coming weekend at Saturday night's main event. I'm really excited for this. Goldberg looked completely different than the night he returned. Yeah, like it was almost like the saturation was down on the viewership, or on the viewers, for the people on TV. Goldberg gets into the ring, squares up with Gunther, didn't even need a mic, just slaps it out of his hand and said, let's just do this now. I thought they were actually going to do a whole Bret Hart spot with Goldberg forgetting that the title was around Gunther's waist and spear him and actually spear the title, and Gunther walks out laughing, but Gunther peeled out the ring, and that's how they finished the segment. This 6 minutes made me care about this entire feud. Like, I actually think Goldberg's going to be able to perform. It was awesome. And
Michael Cole hinting at the end, and what if Goldberg wins the championship? You know, like always, like, okay, we know what happens if he does. And I don't want that to necessarily happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm invested again. I'm excited for this main event. I think it's going to be a good back and forth. I would predict that it's not going to be the typical Goldberg spear fest and jackhammer. It's going to be like a nice 10, 15-minute match between these two, and Goldberg's going to get a nice send-off, whether he wins or not. But I am invested. You're right. Goldberg seemed like he was actually in shape tonight. His car didn't seem that in shape. I thought the wheels were going to fall off as he was driving in. It looks like he was skirting all over the place a little bit. I'm like, ooh, I don't think that car is going to make it. But it did. It made the right sound. It got the crowd hyped. But he walked right to the ring. There was no punches, no kick to where he was going to tear his hamstring before the match on Saturday, which was good. It made Goldberg look strong, and it didn't make Gunther look weak. And that was, again, mission accomplished. That's going to be my mission statement of this entire review, is that mission accomplished Monday Night Raw, and mission accomplished for Goldberg and Gunther both looking strong heading into that main event.
Hey, absolutely don't hate on a Chevelle, dude. My mom drove one when I was growing up. My dad drove a 69 Judge. Listen, those are powerful cars, man. And when I saw that, I was just like, brought back good memories. Let's just say that. Going into the main event, and I think this main event was it was elevating Penta, but still telling the story about Seth Rollins, and this whole show was revolving around this faction. And really good match. The buckle bomb into the Mexican Destroyer was an incredibly cool segment and transition. And then obviously the headbutt, very heel-esque Seth Rollins, which I really liked, into the stomp. Loved it. And then, the get out here, we need you. Boys coming out, LA Knight with the hit and run to end the show. Again, really making me believe, and I don't want to steal from you, but mission accomplished, making me want to watch Saturday night's main event almost more than I want to watch AEW's All In. Like, they're really telling these stories to a point that I want to watch these matches and see what's going to happen. Because the one thing I did want to reference when you mentioned potentially Roman Reigns returning for Saturday night's main event, that is going to change the viewers from AEW over to WWE if those drums hit and the tribal chief or the one walks out. So again, like you said, mission accomplished.
Yeah, and it elevated Penta tonight. You're right. The buckle bomb into the Mexican Destroyer, the the better version of the pile driver. I will say it's like they make it seem like it's a completely different move. It's not. It's even more dangerous because you have to hit it on the fly. Seth Rollins, he might be a WWE Hall of Famer one day, but he's also an independent scene wrestler from all the way back in the day. Penta versus Seth Rollins was cool to see. And yeah, it told the story of LA Knight. Didn't tell the story of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. It didn't tell the story of Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Told the story that's going to happen on Saturday.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins elevating LA Knight. Yeah. And he's going to elevate LA Knight, and I'm sure Punk's going to get involved, and hopefully Roman Reigns does as well.
I was really surprised we didn't get Punk tonight. I was really surprised we didn't get CM Punk tonight.
I'm glad he wasn't there because he deserves some rest in his late 40s. He's like 47, 48 years old. You don't have to work every single week. You don't have to travel. Be home with AJ and Larry. But come back when it matters the most. We're a few weeks out till SummerSlam at MetLife, and this was LA Knight's moment to get one up on Seth Rollins and tell that story.
I completely agree with you. All right, my favorite time of the show, Jack. Rank Monday Night Raw. You are much more lenient with your rankings than I am, but I want to know where you're at for the Monday Night Raw ranking tonight because we had a phenomenal show.
From top to bottom, it was enjoyable. From top to bottom, it wasn't undeniable. But from top to bottom, it was enjoyable. From Becky, Bayley, and Lyra to the main event with Seth Rollins and Penta. You know, Jey Uso and Bronson Reed wasn't perfect, but it told the story. Sami Zayn, Karrion Kross getting his big moment, attacking Sami Zayn. Braun Breaker picking up a big win. Braun Breaker taking the mic from Paul Heyman. There was a lot of things going on. I give it a... I feel like this is low considering I liked it so much, but I'm going to give it a 7.5. Only because, like I said, it wasn't undeniable, but it was enjoyable.
Wow, dude. So you and I, for once, I'm giving it a higher ranking. I'm going with a flat 8 out of 10. I could only find two. Maybe it's because I laughed so much and it takes a lot for me to be comedically entertained. And for professional wrestling to do that for me, it's crazy. Like, I don't watch comedy. I like dark, twisted comedy. So for this to make me laugh as much as it did, it's going to get a solid 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this. The only two gripes, like I mentioned, were how long Kyrie and Roxanne ran and just kind of how almost messy the match kind of looked until the end where we got the Asuka run-in for the Kabuki Warriors. And then the write-off, if you want to call it, of Jey Uso. Those are the only two things that I can pick apart on it. But it was a solid 8 out of 10 show. And for a go-home show to a PLE, really, really entertaining for me. So I enjoyed it overall.
It was good. It was a good show. It was enjoyable. That's what I will say. The two things about this show is that it was an enjoyable show and that every mission, in my opinion, was accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, that is our Monday Night Raw review for July 7th, 2025. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and put the bell on for all Straight and Shoot notifications. We did notice you guys are major fans of the Who Am I's, so more of those are coming. And Jack, how is your Guess the Wrestler knowledge? Would you like to try one or two of those and see if we can bring that back?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. Like always, be good people. See you tomorrow.